Thanks for tuning in again, everybody. We're back with your favorite podcast, Luka's Tigers and Bronze. Oh my.
It's been 2 weeks. I've been getting phone calls from our fans saying like we need to get just a coffee with Cage going. We have so many questions. There's been a ton of things going on in the hobby since you've last done a coffee with Cage. The Mickey Mantle purchase, record prices being set across the board. Getting DMs. People are saying, Andrew, you need to talk more because you can't keep letting Cage cut you off. Well, that's not going to be an issue here today. This is all Cage. I'm just the guy asking the questions. Okay.
I'm just not going to talk. I'm going to let you do the whole episode.
You're going to do the whole episode, the whole coffee with Cage?
Yeah, I'm going to let you do it. I told you, kombucha with Andrew. And just, we'll get your take and we can all lose money. I'm just playing.
I don't blame you. But my number one priority is teaching people the ways to make money in the hobby. I don't like losing money.
I'm with you. And you don't also like gambling. I'm more of a gambler too sometimes. I've realized that, you want to just make money and not take a risk, even if it's a calculated one. So, yeah, man, I got to tell you, I'm excited to be back here because we haven't done Coffee with Cage, and it has quickly become one of my favorite episodes. So, excited.
It's mutual. And guys, I don't know if you saw my Instagram. I'm back home. So this is fun. I'm going through, like when you haven't seen your house in a little while and you're going through your old collection. So as I'm doing this episode, I'm just going through like my old base rookies that I didn't send in and seeing if I could send some of them to Star Stock. But I'm going to start with a real good question. And this might take the whole episode, honestly. But the Boulevard of Cards asks, and I love this guy's logo, by the way. If you're the commissioner of sports cards, what are some things you would add or change?
Wow. The commissioner of sports cards. So it's like,
Commissioner Cage.
So it's like I have say over like the entire market. So I'm gonna tell you what I would do, right? I would completely eradicate sport license exclusives, and I would let any company be involved in all of the sports, right? So you want basketball cards, Upper Deck, Topps, Panini can do them. Okay, you want baseball cards, Panini, get in there, you got your license. Like you got licensed players, you name it, the whole deal. I would not allow the leagues to have exclusive licenses with any of the brands. And that would be the first thing I did, like day one after my inauguration, right? and the reason I would do that is because I think one of the more dangerous things in the hobby is the potential for a bubble, the ballooning pricing of products. You see you can't buy retail anymore. Everything's a breaker mentality, right? And Panini, it doesn't matter what they put out. I've talked about this. Panini can take a dump in a box and sell it for $800. You see the pricing on Dunruss. You see the pricing on hoops. You see the pricing on stuff for this, this upcoming product, let alone how much they're charging for Eminence and Flawless and all these other, products that have come out. I think that is going, if I were able to change that, if we had the other companies in with licensed products, it would be a healthy competition, which right now you don't have. And you could say, yeah, Panini makes baseball cards, but there's a vast segment of our hobby that doesn't even look at those cards. They're an afterthought. A Mike Trout 2012 Prism card, if it were licensed, would be selling for a boatload more than it sells for now because Panini was, the Prism was just not a licensed card. It's still not.
I could touch on that real quick. If you guys have seen that picture of Deshaun Watson floating around the internet with him in that Jordan hoodie, and you look at the back of the picture, there are Prism baseball hangers on his shelves. So it's interesting that you bring that up.
So, I mean, listen, you can paint both sides of that argument, right? Because there are people out there who will tell you, hey, well, why would you want Prism Baseball license if you really want to have something to open with your kids and something that's at a price point? Prism Baseball, or Panini baseball products are, they're definitely approachable. You could buy, National Treasures. I mean, you could buy the same Panini stuff for baseball, but collectability wise, people don't want to break it, people don't want to hold it, people don't want to hang on to it, and that kind of stuff. So there is that that end of the market. So I think if I were the commissioner, that's what I would do. Because I mean, who wouldn't love to see some exquisite basketball cards from Upper Deck? You know what I mean? Like, who wouldn't love to see that? So yeah, that's that would be number one. There'd be a whole bunch of other things that I would change, right? I would I would make retail. Actually available for retail. I'd make like hobby store exclusives. Like my LCS was able to get like the Hoops premium boxes that they got, or like Absolute Football that came out that we were playoff football that came out that we were able to break at cost for our audience when we did that break that one time. That the little LCSs were able to get it and they're not going to breakers and marking them up. I think I would work on that just to make sure that I think the hobby itself is there's a lot of big dogs in it now, a lot of alphas, a lot of people spending a lot of money, and you gotta remember sometimes that the reason why a Jordan card is what it is and what is because the hobby is so vast and it's impressive to all of the people who are out there trying to get a Jordan PSA 1 instead of a Jordan PSA 10, or they're buying the base cards instead of buying the reason why someone is paying $300,000 for a Jordan rookie card to flex it is because there are so many people to flex it too, and you don't want to lose those people. You don't want to lose the interest in the hobby, right? You don't want to lose that mainstream. Like they say, it's Wall Street and it's Main Street, right? You don't want to lose Main Street, right? So,
Are you real quick just to follow up? Are you worried about oversupply if there's no licenses, or
no,
are we not in an oversupply era?
No, because competition handles it. You know what I mean? It's the free market economy, and you don't really have it right now in sports cards. Panini can put out whatever the hell they want and at whatever price point they want, because they don't have Tops coming in or Upper Deck coming in and saying, "Oh yeah, you want to release Donruss this month? Well, we're going to release Tops Chrome or whatever the hell it is," and you give somebody else a choice of where to put their money. Right now, it's the only choice they have where to put their money is: do I put it in clearly authentic, clearly Donruss? Do I put it in clearly this? Do I put it in Hoops Premium, or do I save it up and put it in Flawless, or do I wait for Prism, or do I pay $5,000 for a friggin' box of Prism? So that's all. The market takes care of itself when you have competition, and right now you don't have any.
It's like when you have a license from one supplier of oil, they could set the price because it's just one supplier, no one else could buy. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. DJ Anthony asks, how long would you hold sealed wax of 19 and 20 rookie class, NFL and NBA?
DJ Anthony on the ones and twos, spinning the wheels of steel. I love it. DJ Anthony. So I can't hold wax. I just can't, because I'm a lunatic and I'm a gambler, and I would just believe that the 1920 would have the 101, Prism rookie cards. I'd have like all the great stuff in there, and then I'm gonna sell it, and someone's gonna open it and post on Instagram the next day, "I got this from Cage, and it had the Zion 101 in it," or whatever it is. So, kudos to you for holding it this long. But how long would I hold? I think that sealed wax basically goes up every week. And those specific products, especially with the class of rookies that are in 1920 on both football and basketball, those are going to be a hot commodity for someone who's doing breaking in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years. 1920 basketball products, at some point in time, Ja or Zion or both are going to be playing for, meaningful games in the postseason, potentially playing for a ring, right? And every day that goes by, there's less and less of that product sealed out there. You're talking about like Prism or whatever it may be, right? So as there's less and less of it out there, and those guys become more and more desirable, and maybe it's Kobe White also takes a step forward, or whoever, Keldon Johnson or Nickeil Alexander-Walker. You have all of them in there with potential. They're not guaranteed to be in there, but you have the potential for all of them in there. And I think I'm talking myself into buying some sealed wax, by the way, as we do this. Because the truth of the matter is, at some point in time, some big breaker is going to find out that you have a case of Prism, 2 years from now, and they're going to know that they can sell it on their, site and break it up for, double what it's at now or triple what it's at now. And, you're going to be happy that you held it. So honestly, especially 1920 football, I'd wait for Burrow to come back. I'd wait for you're playing that entire quarterback class. Like, you don't have to pick whether it's going to be Burrow or Herbert or Tua or Jordan Love after Rodgers retires, or Jalen Hurts. As long as one of them is playing some meaningful game down the road, a year or 2 or 3 from now, that sealed product you have is going to be more valuable than it is today.
I love it, man. I really like this next question. The guy has a really funny handle. It's 1999. The numbers like 1999 _ 2000 guy.
Guy, like 1999 2000 guy.
Yep.
Wow.
with
All
an
right.
underscore.
Now, what would be
But I
great
love
is
this question.
if he only collects from that year, because that would be
Oh.
fantastic if he only collected that year.
I don't know if you guys remember. I gave this play the 2008-2009 Topps Chrome set with card number 23 is LeBron. Card number 24 is Kobe, but it's LeBron and Kobe. And he asked, with the rise in popularity of some horizontal cards, and that's an interesting take because if you guys remember, a few years ago, horizontal cards were not as accepted. So that's what he's pointing at. With the rise in popularity of some horizontal cards, namely the 08-09 Topps Chrome set, is it time PSA and BGS created a new slab layout that is better to display those cards?
I'm gonna say no.
Do you understand what he's saying, though?
Yes, no, 100%. Because I mean, I think it would look a little bit weird. I know that it looks odd now because you can't display it, the way that it is. But the only thought there would be, having a label that is now the entire what would be, length, top to bottom of the card. So it now becomes, top is left to right side. You're basically expanding the label twice. So to make it work and not just be a lot of white space, you'd have to be putting, making it bigger font or, like a smaller label. I mean, it just, to me, I don't see it. Also, I mean, it could be a money-making idea for someone like Nat, right? Like, you have to store it separately. You know what I mean? You'd have to have a different storage box for those. I mean, to me, most people want to be able to stack their slabs, and I want to put my Tatis, which is a horizontal card, next to their, the Alonso of the same year, and et cetera. And I don't want to have to be, buying different supply cases, different boxes to store different types of slabs and stuff. It's bad enough already if you split it up between BGS and PSA that they don't fit in the same kind of case anyway. So my answer is no. I'm happy that people have come around to horizontal cards. And I think that, the minor annoyance that's out there, for having the slab kind of on the side of the card, I don't think it's enough for them to create an entirely different slab for it. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they did, I guess, because, they do have different slabs for different sized cards, right? I mean, the small cards, the bigger cards, you name it, have booklet slabs and the like. But I think it's done by size. And I think it would be odd for them to add that extra layer on, but it's a cool concept, cool idea.
I love horizontal cards. I actually see what he's saying though. Like now that I think about the question, it is a little bit weird, but I love the look of like the Tatis card, the Topps Chrome from 2008, the LeBron and Kobe. I love the look of those cards.
Yeah, but I mean, would you try to display it horizontally and have the slab across the top of the across the basically what's the side of the card? That way you could display it with the label on it. I mean,
I would find a way to reformat just the label. That would be the easiest thing. Keep the slab, change the actual like the label. But no, it doesn't bother me at all.
Okay.
Cards to the Max. One of our OG guys. Hope you're doing well, Max. Love your hustle, man. This guy's always working. Now that we're a couple weeks into the NBA season, Zion, undervalued, overvalued, or just right?
I'm going to say just right. And there's a lot that's going to go into this answer. So it is a great question. It really is a great question.
Here we go.
I'm not a Zion lover and I'm not a Zion hater. You guys who listen to me know, I'm a LeBron hater. I'm a Jordan lover. Like I'll tell you who I love and who I hate. I don't have many Zion cards. The ones that I did get, I sold. I got some Optic. I graded myself. I don't really have too many Zions at all. So I don't really have a vested interest in the answer one way or another. But I've watched Zion play, and he quietly is playing more minutes than he played last year, which is test number one, right? And he quietly scores between 25 and 30 points basically every game, right? He's got to work on his free throws a little bit, and then he'd be fantastic. His game, I watched LeBron in his first couple of years, and I'm not going to compare Zion's game to LeBron's game, right? But what I am going to say is why he's priced right now is his cards could still go up. And LeBron became the LeBron that he is now by working his ass off, right? He developed his game. He worked at his game. He went from being a bull in a china shop to a more finesse game and still having the bull in the china shop working on his jump shot, playing for as long as he did. Now, do not get me wrong and do not say I listened to this podcast and Cage compared Zion to LeBron. It's a different type of player. I don't think he's ever going to be LeBron, right? But what my hope is that he works on his game, and he takes it seriously, and he works on his health, and he stays healthy, and he stays as nimble as he looks now, even with that big frame. And he works on a jumper, and he works on his free throws. And if he does that, there's no reason to think he can't be a 32 points a game for a decade. And if he does that, and his team starts to win, remember, winning matters, according to my co-host, winning matters, and his team starts to win, maybe not this year, but next year, those cards will appreciate in value. The other part of the appreciating in value is I still think we're early on cards. I still think there's a huge untapped market in our hobby. And I think that there are going to be more money coming in. And as you see people paying $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000 for a base LaMelo ball this year, the Zions and the Johns are going to look cheap. It happened with Luka when Zion came. It'll happen over and over again in the next rookie class that comes in that is unremarkable, but still selling for more. That will raise the Zions and the Ja prices. So do I think they're underpriced or overpriced or just right? Just right there. But here's the reason why I don't think they're underpriced. He could be a flop. I watched him play, and I think to myself, he's huge. Now, not fat. I said huge. Okay? There are no other players on the court when he's on there that look like him. All right? Now, that's not a bad thing. There have been successful players that look different than everybody else. Charles Barkley looked like nobody else on the court also. And if Zion develops a little bit of Barkley, a little bit of anger, you name it, great. But there is some evidence to say that he is overpriced because I watch this game and the superstars, they go and they get it, right? They make the game. They go to the game, right? They bring it, right? Ja, he has the ball. You know he's going to shoot. He's going to make something happen. Zion, for periods of time in the game, it's like he's waiting for the game to come to him, right? And some people might say that's patience, who knows? But when you watch LeBron, you know where LeBron is on the court at all times. He doesn't get lost. He's directing it. He's moving without the ball. He's directing the offense. The game is running through his hand. You watch the same with Luka, same thing. You watch the same with Ja, the same with him. You watch with Zion, he can get lost. You don't exactly know where he is until you look for the huge guy. So there is the potential that he turns into a lot less than what people think he's supposed to be. And if that happens, his cards are overpriced. So I think they're just right. I think they're just right now because I don't know. And it's Cage lawyer, right? So I'll say the jury is still out on Zion.
I like that. No, he is very wide. It's not that he's fat. He's wide.
He's huge. He's a big friggin' guy.
My comp to Zion's actually Giannis. But it's really interesting to
I like
was
that.
Giannis last night, and he's come such a long way, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a player, like he was so raw when he came into the league, and now he's so much better. But it's interesting to think about it. Like we all have a place that we start from, right? And LeBron's baseline was just so much higher than any other player we've ever seen at 18. His baseline, and then you build on top of that foundation. The thing that worries me with Giannis is his baseline was so low that he's already improved. And how much better can his jump shot get? Like at the end of the day, like if you don't got it, you don't got it at 26. So that's one thing. I actually think Zion's really properly rated. I don't know if you guys watched the Pelicans this year. They're a disaster on defense. Eric Bledsoe and Lonzo Ball may be the worst backcourt in the entire league. And I think that in the next 3-4 months, they're not making the playoffs. There's just no chance. They played the best ball that I've ever seen them play in the first half of last night, and they were up by 1 point. So there's no shot they're making the playoffs, and I think you're going to be able to buy Zion on the dip. I think they're going to be a little bit better next year when they retool that roster because he's very good, but Drew Bledsoe and Lonzo just suck. Man, I'm sorry.
Dude, I love that you said Drew Bledsoe.
Oh, did I say Drew Bledsoe? My bad. Last thing, because I got a comment on my Trey video. I want to touch on this. Winning matters. People compared Charles Barkley and Karl Malone to Trae Young. No. Winning. I'm not talking about trophies. I'm talking about winning games and actually winning more games than you lose. If you look at Malone and the Jazz and the Sixers with Barkley, they won. They got to the playoffs. They got to the Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals. I'm talking about winning in that sense. Of course, only one player, one team wins a trophy. to compare a trade to those guys is ludicrous. Let's keep it rocking. And this goes back to our David Peck episode. And maybe you want to touch on this in a different way, and you'll understand what I'm saying here, Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Israel Arroyo won. I think a new follower, so shout out to you, Israel.
New follower.
What's your thought on the 1986 Panini Mike Tyson Italian rookie PSA 10 Pop 3 card?
Wow.
And first, touch if that's a true rookie, right? We had that discussion.
Right. So what's my thought on it, right? So my thought on it is if you can get a card of any all-time great that there's 3 of, and you're ahead of the curve on it, go get it. But I mean, that card is going to cost you an arm and a leg, right? But here's my take, right? And a lot of people out there, a lot of people are not going to like this take, okay? And I might not even like it myself when I'm done giving it. So here you go. You ready? I'm always going to preach caution. I'm always going to tell you to be a little more careful, right? And we're all about diversifying your portfolio, right? And I'm all for going out and buying yourself some tennis cards, some golf cards. I'm all for going out and getting yourself a boxing card if boxing your jam. And you were a kid and Mike Tyson was tearing it up in the Catskills. Go right ahead. You want to do that?
I used
Mike
to
Tyson's
vacation in the Catskills, Cage.
Yeah, I mean, so and if you want to buy a Muhammad Ali card, Cassius Clay rookie card, you go for it, please. If that's what you love and that's what you want to have in your collection, fine. But there's a crossroad there, right? It's that combined with everybody is furiously now chasing the next thing, right? And just dumping their money into what possibly could be the next thing. A couple of days ago, I talked about Harry Potter, and you can't buy a box of Harry Potter cards for what they were at. You're not even close for what they were at when we dropped that episode. I love you guys. Thank you for following that blindly. There will come a point in time where that Potter play, which was a nice risk, is no longer a viable play because they've gotten too expensive, right? Exhibit. So I'm going to talk about Tiger Woods. I talk about all those fringes. I mentioned to you tennis. I mentioned to you, we talked about some Australian football cards, with cherry collectibles. I'm going to put that in a category of just non-major sports. And let's do a case study on Tiger Woods. Because everybody was chasing the next GOAT. Oh, everybody, the cards went up. The cards, everybody, you got to get a GOAT. And it's so cheap. And before you know it, everybody and their mom was running to pay $1,000 plus for a Tiger Woods Upper Deck rookie card, where the pop was, the pop was higher than Greg Popovich. I mean, it was more pop, right? So, and look what happened to that card, right? I mean, 1 million of them came out of the woodwork. I shudder to think how many of them are in PSA right now. But my LCS had a 100 count case. The cases, the plastic cases, 100 count case of them just sitting there without penny sleeves. So I mean, think about how much the pop's going to be when it's all done, right?
I'm just thinking about how you just said it's higher than pop. Like
pop. That's good, man. The pop is higher than Popovich, right? But the point is that card. If you rushed and said, "Shit, everybody's jumping on this," and you were greedy when everybody else was greedy, instead of being fearful when everybody else was greedy, you paid $1,000 for a card that's what, 6 and change right now, and probably still on its way back down as the population continues to soar. So a Mike Tyson Pop 3, fine, I get it. That card's always going to have some sort of a value. The third little layer into this is those non-major sports, even the older ones. It's very difficult to know what is the card people are going to chase. It's hard enough now whether to know people want the Prism or the Flawless or the RPA or the DPA or the Elemental P, right? So even back then, I get this message more probably than any other message I get. And it's from texts from my friends who know we're talking about cards. They say, what's Muhammad Ali's rookie card? Which one would you buy? I want to buy a Muhammad Ali. I hear people talk about, go get the GOATs. And I tell them, do me a favor and Google Muhammad Ali rookie. And you know what you're going to find? You're going to find 8 different people making a case for 8 different cards. All right, you're going to find like a postcard type thing that was sent out with a facsimile auto. You're going to find a magazine cutout card. You're going to find a journal cutout card. You're going to find Panini stickers. You're going to find all these things out there. And you know what that does? That even though there's a pop 3 of the card or a pop 8 of the card, you got to multiply that out by all of the cards that are out there. You got to multiply that out by all of the multitude of different rookie cards that people are going to spread out. And if you catch the wrong one, I mean, you guys, this from your own hobby, right? there's less select base cards than there are Prism base cards. And if we just went by pop, all the Luka Select should be worth a fortune. But people are not collecting Luka Selects. The Donruss pop is low. The Hoops pop is low. Why are those not more money than Prism? But you guys know the answer, right? You know the answer to that question. So I would just be careful on those fringe things. Now, you should know. I was in an Instagram group where people were going crazy about tennis and golf and those cards a year and a half ago, and I said the same exact thing. And those people are probably laughing at me now because the cards, Roger Federer cards have gone crazy, you name it. But I play a long game. And why I'm comfortable buying a Jerry Rice rookie card with a pop of 36 or 38 is because I know those cards are not going to be found in mass, and people are going to the pop's going to double on them because those are cards that everyone's known about, everyone was chasing, and everyone was grading for a long time already, right? This it's not the same for boxing, it's not the same for wrestling. I don't know how much of this crap is out there in someone's collection, and right now you might want to chase UFC. I can tell you guys right off the bat right now, everybody's pushing UFC. I see UFC. I know a half dozen guys who have thousands of UFC collectibles, thousands of McGregor cards and Rousey cards, personally, because I was one of the top UFC card collectors in 09, 10, and 11. I can tell you these guys, and none of their cards are graded because we just didn't grade UFC cards. Nobody cared. Your card was worth what it was worth. It didn't make a difference. Now, that doesn't mean the card's in shit shape. Obviously, we kept the cards in penny sleeves. We kept the cards in top loaders, and you name it. Eventually, those guys are going to see that a McGregor third-year chrome out of 50 sold for $2,000 just because there is no pop of it now. Well, guess what's going to happen? That pop is going to stop coaching San Antonio, and it's going to fly. Because these guys are going to realize I got a monster box of these cards. I'm going to grade every single one of them. And you got to be careful with that. A little cautionary tale. It could happen to anything. Read about, if you haven't done it, you want to do a little reading. Maybe I'll do a little blog post about this. Mark the time on this one. Maybe I'll do a blog post. Read about what's called the Black Swamp Find of 1909 baseball cards. Right, with Ty Cobb in it, you name it, the whole deal. These were low pop cards that people were paying thousands upon thousands of dollars for based on the rarity, based on the scarcity. And we're talking about like tobacco type cards. You know what I mean? We're talking about these cards that they're similar to like the T206 cards, right? And you look at them, they're beautiful cards with red backs, Honus Wagner on them, Cy Young, you name it. And then there was the Black Swamp Find, where somebody found in an old house a stack of these in near mint, and gem mint. There were some 10s in it, right? A whole bunch of 9s of Ty Cobb and Honus Wagner and Cy Young and all these guys. And you know what that did? It completely destroyed the population report, because when you're buying cards like the question, it's Mike Tyson PSA 3, it's being valued right now as 3. All you need is 3 of them to show up out of the people who have them in their collections that didn't ever think about grading anything. And now the card should be worth half where it's worth, because you just doubled the pop. Yep. So a word to the wise, a little caution on this stuff. Those fringe things, I've seen people flexing these Net Pro Roger Federers. I guarantee you there's thousands of those bad boys at PSA right now. So just be careful on some of these when you're trying to chase the next best thing, and realize that when you go outside of the major sports, people have not been grading these things. So the pop reports could be a little misleading. Sorry if I went down a little rabbit hole.
The phrase that I brought up a few episodes ago was really similar. It was, they thought tulips were really scarce, and tulips appreciated almost overnight, 20x, 30x, 100x, because they were so rare in theory and so sought after. And so like any of the flowers Europe has ever seen. And then growers, or Panini, or growers, figured out a way to grow those bulbs not in 12 or 7 years like they did before, but they could do it in just a few years, in just 1 year. And they flooded the market. So it's a great point, Cage. And I want to ask you, this was my question for the end. There's no better time than now to ask it. Cool. Is other than, I consider like there's like a class A of cards, and there's like 25 to 50 of them, Jordan, Fleer, PSA. Jordan Fleer is a class A. Kobe, Topps Chrome rookie. LeBron, Topps Chrome rookie, for example. Joe Montana. I mean, we can't go through all of them, but there's just this class A of card. It's the true rookie. Usually when there's one rookie, sought after player, huge name. Outside of those, have you felt that sellers have gotten a little bit greedy with their prices for fringe cards?
100%. But there's no reason not to be. Okay, I think there's a wave of these cards. I think there's a wave of money coming in these cards, and I think that there is a buyer at every level. And eventually those top cards are going to be priced out. You know what I mean? Because you bring up like Rice, Montana, those cards, right? Montana rookie PSA 10 has got to pop just over 100, right? You know, the you see what's happening now with the with the Jordan, right? The Jordan's going to sell for what, $300,000? I mean, is that 220 with 9 days left, right? And we talked about the elastic effect, right? About the PSA 9 is going to be 30 grand. Maybe that'll be 40 or $50,000 for a damn PSA 9, right? So, but what's going to happen there is there will come a point in time where a Jordan collector will say, okay, that's out of my price range. I can't afford an 8. I'm not going to buy the 7, but I'm going to look at now other Michael Jordan cards that are out there that are close, that are not that card. Maybe the second year, maybe the sticker.
2005 Topps Finest, even.
Yeah, maybe the refractor that I sold, the PSA 10 the first refractor, card number 1, 93 Finest refractor. Maybe that, and there's not a lot of them, right? And maybe people start buying those up. So sellers realize that that's going to happen because there's money to invest in Michael Jordan and Kobe and LeBron at all price ranges, right? And we've seen it ourselves, Andrew. I mean, how many times did we hear people talk about buy the bazooka LeBron because you can't afford the chrome? And then the bazooka LeBron tripled, you know? So I can't blame sellers. It's a seller's market.
Good play in the beginning, but when it triples, it's not a good play because it's not a sought after card. It's not his true rookie. It's not the one the market really loves.
So that's the thing, right? That's what will end up being when this. I think it's going to be a 20-year run on these cards. Cards could be here for forever. Forget about it. You don't even have to put a timeline on it. It could just be considered a new asset class. But you're right. Okay.
Digital card.
In the event that there is some trimming of people's portfolios, all right, you're right. If someone owns a portfolio, a mutual fund, I just got a group text from Gary Vee, but if someone owns, it just popped on my screen. So if someone owns a,
look at this guy. Look at this guy.
Yeah, crap. So, but if somebody owns a mutual fund, as you like to talk about, of Kobe, or a mutual fund of LeBron, right? And in that mutual fund is the Chrome rookie. But then they also put some Mystique in there, and they put some Fleer in there, and they got some Upper Deck base cards in there. They got the rookie exclusive cards in there. They got the Fleer Ultra cards in there. If that mutual fund is worth $100,000, and people want to trim their exposure to this asset class, and they want to take 10% off, they want to sell $10,000. They're not going to take the Chrome out of the mutual fund. They're not going to take the blue chip asset out of there. They're going to sell the Fleer Ultra or step down. They're going to sell the regular Fleer or the Upper Deck or the Bazooka, right? Because that's an easy trim. It's easy to replace, right? There's a lot of them out there. They're not high price. You know, it's not going to fluctuate the same way. So my fear on it is that, you know, people who invest their money in that, it's like, you know, last one in, first one out. You know, when things start to go bad in an employment situation, right? It's the same thing. When you build up your Kobe mutual fund, the first thing you're going to grab is that Chrome. You're going to build around it with these other smaller pieces. And the last one that you buy, you know, that Bazooka LeBron, that's going to be the first one that you trim, the first one you sell. It's going to be the one you're more likely to get rid of if you need some cash. And that's going to cause price pressure for those things. So
trim. Cage used the bad word in the hobby, trim. We don't use that over here. No, I'm just kidding. Conrad Sports Cards asks, what do you think of hybrid gaming? Apologize. What do you think of hybrid grading? New company that just came out, supposedly using a super high quality scanner to get as clear of an image as possible, which is then judged by people, I believe. So we're going to actually have the CEO of that company on next week. We're going to do a market mover segment with him because I'm actually curious myself, but if you want to touch on it quickly.
So I will tell you this, right? I think any of that is good for the hobby. And I'll be honest with hybrid grading, right? I think CNC Cola and Shasta probably make decent soda products. But ultimately, Coca-Cola is going to win out. There'll be room for Pepsi. Maybe Coca-Cola buys Shasta or White Rock or CNC Cola because they came up with some flavor that is getting a little bit of press. Who knows, right? But ultimately, the big dog is going to win. And I'll tell this guy this next week. Trust me, you'll hear it from me. But why it's good,
I think it's going to be a valuable conversation. I think we're going to expose him to quite a huge potential market. And I think everyone's curious.
But why it's good is exactly the same reason why I said on day one as being the president of sports cards, CEO of all sports cards, right? It's competition, right? And we all complain that PSA can do whatever they want because they have our cards hostage and there's no real threat. Well, if a smaller guy comes into the hobby and has got turnaround time and has technology that people want to buy into, scanners, high res, you name it, and there's proof that those cards graded will actually sell and people can flip them and make money in the whole deal, PSA will have to pay attention to that. Beckett, SGC, they'll have to pay attention to that. They'll have to realize that some of their market share might leave. Now, that may cause them to just buy this guy, close it down and be done and maybe take their technology. But even if that happens, the thought process there would have to be, why did people siphon off business from PSA and go there? Whether it's the logistics they were using, the high-grade scanner they were using, something that they were bringing to the table, probably the turnaround time, but it would open PSA's eyes and hopefully improve their processes as well. That's what competition does. That's why competition's good.
You want to know what holding something hostage is? So I opened a blaster box of Optic. Kate, do you remember I opened it live?
And it had, would you have a Trae Young in there or no?
Trae Young hollow. Centered, clean as ever. That's been 10-day at BGS since June.
Wait, 10-day BGS since June? So when was the last time you called them?
I go through well, I don't know him, so I don't want to plug him. So I go through
you go through a subber.
Yeah.
So your subber should be calling his regional rep and saying, what's the deal here?
What's the deal? Get this man his Trae Young hollow so he can sell. We're having fun. We appreciate it. You guys don't understand how much I love getting questions from you guys. The amount of questions we get, how much support we get from you guys, we appreciate it so much. This is a good one. This is Drake's PC, Champagne Poppy PC asks the best questions. With the recent rise of vintage, once again, how much does the average collector or how much does collector base matter versus awards, stats, etc.? Guys like John Havlicek and Elgin Baylor are top 50 all time, but even with the low PSA graded supply of their RCs, will the demand ever outpace the supply? I know, guys, I'm not the best reader.
Listen, it's a great question, right? Because it shows you that there more goes into an analysis than just a pop report, right? And stats on the field stats, right? Because someone like John Havlicek probably has similar stats to, for the first 2-3 years to Tyler Hero. I'm just throwing a name out there for you, right? Right.
Let me.
But right now, a same pop card, believe it or not, someone's going to go for Tyler Hero than Havlicek because there's not a lot of Havlicek. I have to have this card right now. Whereas Hero, there's a fan base. They get to watch his games. He's exciting and he blah blah blah, and that goes hand in hand though with performance and flexibility in the pricing, right? Havlicek's cards, they're likely not going to go down anytime soon because he's not going to do anything to have them go down. He's not going to tear his ACL, right? He's not going to go out there and have 5 terrible games in a row and ruin his prospect for being a great NBA player. His legacy is cemented, right? But by the same token, he's also not going out there and scoring 50, and he's not going to be playing in the finals like Tyler Hero. And Tyler Hero might win a championship. So there's a reason for it, right? There's a reason for it. And you're right. The collector base is huge, right? So you can, everything I just said about Havlicek, you could say about somebody like Tim Duncan, right? You say the exact same thing, right? That Tim Duncan's cards, he's not gonna, he's not going out there and scoring 50. He's not winning a championship, but Tim Duncan is in the more recent conscious.
Exactly.
So he has a bigger collector fan base of people who are spending money now than someone like John Havlicek did. And I would say that a Duncan rookie with even higher pop should sell for more than a Havlicek card because he's still relevant. He's still in the game, sort of. He was coaching there. People know who he is. He's only recently exited the game. Say Michael Jordan. He's not putting up 50 points anymore, but he's staying relevant. He's buying NASCAR teams. He's doing documentaries. He's got his brand. Like, that guy will always be relevant, especially to athletes and people with money, right?
Something I think a lot of – sorry, go ahead.
Please. No. Go ahead.
Oh, something I think a lot about is, if you guys think about this, I don't think I'm the only one. It's impossible to watch every NBA game. I imagine most people actually watch NBA games highlights. You watch the end of the game, you watch highlights. So I always ask myself, which players are still in clips, are still being in – you still see – their highlights all over the internet, whether that's YouTube or Instagram. If I'm going vintage, I still ask myself that question. Who am I still seeing? Like, is it Larry Bird? Magic Johnson, for example. You still see clips of him, where some of the older guys, you don't see a lot of their stuff even floating around. I don't think even people know Havlicek's game. So I think that's a big deal. Drake's Sports Cards asks.
Champagne PC.
Actually, I want to ask you a different one from him. When a player, Yes, when a player you like has a bunch of RCs and you're priced out of his higher end RCs, and it's usually one, the base or the refractors, basically. What factors determine whether you should, one, buy a lower grade of that card, or two, buy a mid or lower end high grade RC, or buy a high end second year card of that player? Let me really quickly summarize that. Buy a lower.
I got it.
Oh, I got it. He's got it.
I got it. So I would probably
let me contextualize it for the audience. LeBron Topps Chrome, it's out of your price range. Do you get a LeBron Topps Chrome in a PSA 9 or 8? Do you get a different rookie card in a PSA 10 from LeBron? Or do you go second, third, fourth, fifth year LeBron?
Okay. So I am not sold on second, third, fourth, fifth year of anyone. All right. I like it for certain guys. It's okay to having a collection and add it to a rookie, but I'm not sold on that because just like I talked about the other fringe cards that will be the first ones to trim, if you got a collector who's collecting LeBrons and he's got a ton of rookies and a second year, third year, you name it, and that person wants to, divest themselves of some stuff, the first thing they're going to let go is the second, third, and fourth year cards. So ultimately, those are not as strong of an investment, right? Same thing's going to go for those ancillary cards. I think the best thing for you to do is, and this is where it comes from, right? If you believe in LeBron long term, and we're using LeBron, but it could be anyone. If you believe in a rookie, whoever it may be, right, long term, okay, then you don't want to miss a run up on that person's cards. So I would buy, and you've heard this before, and I've said it many times, I would buy the best card in the best grade possible. And here's why, right? A LeBron Chrome, let's just use ridiculous numbers here, but a LeBron Chrome rookie PSA 10 is $20,000 right now. I don't know what it's done in the last 2 weeks, but I'm just going to say it's $20,000. And a 9 is 10. Just use that for nice, easy math, right? And you only have 10 to spend, okay? You can do one of two things. You can hang on to that 10 until you get 20 and buy that $20,000 10 and hope that you're able to get that other 10 before that 20 becomes 25. Or you can take your 10 because you want to bet on LeBron and put it in the 9 at 10,000. All right. And you collect the remaining 10 that you need to buy and trade up. And if the LeBron 10 has gone to 25,000, chances are your 9 has gone to 12 or 13, and you haven't missed out the run up on that 10 that you buy. So I would buy the same exact card in the best grade you can because that's a hedge. Likewise, if that 10 goes down, you're going to need less money. You're in it. So if you right now you've made your mind up, I want to buy a LeBron 10, but I don't have the money on it. The next best thing to do is put whatever money you can into the best grade of that card you can, and it'll fluctuate the same way as if you had the full money. It's the closest thing to like fractional share as we can, which, by the way, that's going to be the next thing, right? Because fractional shares will allow you to invest and get a piece of that LeBron Chrome if you can't buy the whole thing. Yep. And that also will put some downward pressure, I believe, on cards that are not the card.
It's cool because, guys, what you get here is things we practice, what we preach. So I was holding a Fleer PSA 8 Michael Jordan, and Cage gave me that exact same advice. I said, I really want a 9. I don't want 8. There's so many more 8s than 9s. And I was like, should I sell the 8, save up money, and get the 9? Well, he said, well, you can, but chances are, if you get a run up, you're going to miss the boat. Vis-a-vis, I sold the 8 and I missed the boat. So that's really cool. And do you want to touch on second, third, fourth, fifth year, and like even iconic cards like the '08 Topps Chrome LeBron? Even
so that's different. I like, so that's got its own story to it, right? Like the Kobe and LeBron on the same card. I like those. But even that, right? If you have a portfolio,
that's had a 3-4x run up in the last 2-3 months.
Yeah,
Cage.
I mean it's definitely run, but so has the regular LeBron card. You know what I mean? That's going up huge too. But here's the thing, right? And you have to reassess your point, your stance on it. I said if you asked me 6 months ago, I'd probably have a different way of saying it. Like, oh, I can't afford the Luka Prism, I'm gonna go buy the Luka Optic. And I did this. I bought a bunch of like Trey Optic Hollows. They didn't move the same way that the Silver Prism did. They just didn't. You would think they would, but they didn't. So your second, third, and fourth year cards, you have to reassess. And we met with the collectible app, Ezra Levine. If you haven't listened to that episode, you definitely should. It's worth the time. It was a great listen, a great episode. Real smart guy. And I think with more of those coming in, it won't be long before a LeBron Chrome PSA 10 is sold as a fractional share. And instead of taking $200 and buying a LeBron PSA 8 bazooka card, you can buy $200 worth of that LeBron Chrome. So this whole question will become something where you're now throwing option 4 in. If you can't afford the PSA 10, do you buy the PSA 8 or 9? Do you buy a different version of his rookie card, a different lower class? Do you buy a second or third year? Or option 4, do you buy a piece of the card? Do you buy a fractional share of it with however much money you are planning on investing in a lesser one?
Cage.
So, as more people potentially investing in the second, third, fourth, and minor ones. Go ahead. What do you
got? I think you're in a little bit of a lag there, but I hear you fine now. What about something like the 2003 Topps Paper LeBron versus the 2003 Topps Chrome LeBron? For example, you saw the Kobe Topps Chrome, it went from 10 to 20K, but the Topps Paper also went from 2.5 to 5,000.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like them. I like the play. I think that they will ultimately, they'll go up, and you've seen them run up, and they're a good play on it. My concern is after they run up, whether or not they're going to be able to hold on to that type of value. Because I mean, look, I try to be as honest with you guys as I can, right? And be as upfront as I can, right? And Andrew, I know you are painfully honest, right? So I'll throw it out there, myself. I have Tatis PSA 10 rookie cards. I have a lot of them, right? And prior to, I don't know, 2 months ago, I didn't care that they were paper instead of chrome. I didn't, right? But now I'm nervous about that. And I'm going to tell, our listening audience that I plan on probably selling some of them. Now, I'm not out on Tatis, but I think I'm going to move the Tatis paper money as soon as I get it into chrome. All right? So I think the same thing already applies in the basketball world, right? And that's why I'm a little nervous about it, right? Because, I'd much rather have a Kobe Chrome than a Kobe paper. It was just a completely different product, completely different release, completely different, category of card. I like the paper. I love that Kobe has a middle ground too. I think that, everybody's sleeping on the Topps 50th, the one that's sort of chrome, but not the foil one. I love that card. I know you do too. It's your favorite card ever, which is great, right? So I love the card as well. I think it's a great card, but my take on it is they're both great cards, right? And yes, you can buy into that paper one immediately after the chrome one goes. But when you see that it's gone 3 or 4x, I'd be nervous holding the paper card, because I think ultimately, if there's a problem, and I don't foresee a problem, but if there's ever a problem, if people are looking to cash out on cards, that paper one is going to go down first, just like it went up second. So
I love it. Let me pull another question up. We had, I was in between questions here, so I apologize. Thank you. Have you picked up, Andrew Griff asks, have you picked up any Pokemon or comics since the Bro Namath episode?
So, have I picked up any Pokemon or comics since the Bro Namath episode? I have not picked up any comics. I really, I have to do research on it. I mean, if you guys haven't learned this yet about me, it's I really do a lot of research before I just dive in. Like I'm all about, everything is out there. I want to consume the research. I want to do this. I want to learn as much as I can, especially because you guys are going to listen to me. Maybe you don't have to do as much research. I will say that the one thing that I am looking into and have bought some is the Marvel, because while I don't like comics per se, I like the comic card. So I'm looking at Marvel cards, and I know if you're in any of our Instagram groups, you've seen some more chatter about that. I've responded to them. I've shown some pictures. I actually picked up a Black Panther, 1990 Marvel PSA 10. I think that's one that's like a cool card, and clearly relevant. But I think that's a cool space for it. I think that's a cool place to maybe put some money, a little alternate investment type thing. But I haven't bought any comics. The answer is no. And as far as Pokemon, there's a couple cards I'm still looking for.
Yep.
I'm still trying to build that set. Andrew talks me out of selling it all the time. I think there's another Pokemon event with PWCC this month coming up. So that'll be 3 basically like huge Pokemon sales in a 4-month period. It really depressed the prices on a lot of these things. It knocked them down a lot from the highs they were at. I do think right now is a good time to buy Pokemon. Maybe after this PWCC, because you get the last bit of supply that comes out on the market. And then I think this year, you got everything from the Olympics. You got everything from Japan. You got everything from their anniversary. You got a million reasons to think that there's going to be more attention on Pokemon cards.
Let's do a little rapid fire, okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Quarantine Collector asks, when crossing BGS to PSA, what subgrades must be 9.5 plus for you to feel confident? Honestly, every single person that I've spoken with that had Gem Mint plus, which means 2 10s or 1 10 and all 9 5s, none of them have crossed. I sent 2 cards to PSA. None of them have crossed.
There is no answer for this, by the way. There's none. Yeah. And it changes now as well, right?
Better,
because I have – go ahead.
Better Watson. Adam McNanny asks, better Watson, Emma Watson, Deshaun Watson, or Jackson Heights' own Randy Watson?
Oh, that's easy. That's sexual chocolate. That's sexual chocolate. That is for a whole episode of That's My Mama, Jackson Heights' own Mr. Randy Watson. Sexual chocolate. Ain't they so fine? Don't you agree? Yes. Best question of the episode. Ain't they so fine? Don't you agree? Mr. Randy Watson. I think he's coming back. I think Randy Watson makes a comeback in the next Coming to America they do, and I am looking forward to it. That was a tough one, too, because I am a Hermione Granger fan. I will let you know. I am a Hermione Granger fan, so that was tough. And doesn't it tell you all you need to know that we are a sports card podcast, and yet Deshaun Watson finishes third, a distant third behind Hermione Granger and Eddie Murphy. It's amazing.
K Dizzle Cards asks, the new HGA grading company, hybrid grading company hitting the market. We're going to do an episode on that. K Dizzle, thank you. Stay tuned. I think it's coming out next week as a market mover. Wax Drip.
I like that name. Wax
I like
Drip.
that name. His logo is sick too. Where's profiles, avatar. At what money value, like how much, if you have this much in your collection, do you believe it's time to insure it?
Depends on the person, right? Your risk profile is your own risk profile. I would tell you that, it depends on where you're saving the cards. It depends on, where you're doing with the cards. There are different options like the vault, which is insured, PWCC's vault, you can take that out of your hands. It also depends how much selling and moving of the cards you're doing. So we had Adam Rips on, and he, I used to talk to him about, hey, how do you mail out big cards? I sold this big card. Do I have to take a leap of faith and send it with FedEx? And he told me he had insurance that covers the cards during, transit, and that allows you to, get more insurance on these bigger cards than you would otherwise be able to get through a third-party logistics, through the post office or whatever it may be. So, I mean, that's it. I don't want to say it's a personal question. There's definitely no threshold for it. You could have $10,000 in cards and get a rider onto like a homeowner's or a renter's insurance and put it on there. That just depends on your own risk appetite.
Goldie Finger Cards asks, how long do you hold an investment before you dump because they're playing poorly? I'm going to quote Tim Sykes here as a penny trader. Cut your losses quickly. That's my opinion. Up to you, Kate.
So Goldie Finger Cards, I'm going to give him a shout out because Goldie Finger Cards sent his Luka Nation sub in with a little note calling you Whoopi.
Okay, Goldie.
So I think he's a brethren, right? So he's also a Goldie, and so I got to give him a little shout out because I love it when people let us know they're listening, stuff like that. I know people listening. He remembers the the birthday episode where your nickname is Whoopi, so I like that. So that's number one. Number two, I'm with you. Cut your losses. Cut your losses. I mean. You have to be almost ahead of those losses, right? So, and it depends also how much you have in, and what your story is on the card, and whether or not it's somebody who it's a sunk loss, it's a sunk cost, right? Like, is it somebody who could turn around? Is it somebody? I mean, there were a lot of people who took losses on Vlad Guerrero last year who were upset that they sold their cards. Yep. Because that guy looks fit, that lineup looks awesome, and his cards are selling for twice what they were when I recommended them a month and a half ago. Right. So, it also depends, right? Don't cut your losses on a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, 21-year-old, top prospect in the league. Give him a second chance. You know what I mean? Those are ones where instead of just taking pennies on the dollar on your investment, maybe you sock those away. You need cash, find it somewhere else. And, maybe you get a comeback story on one of those.
Cut your losses, guy. And I'll tell you this from betting. You guys know you've had that bet where you just know from the tip off, you're like, this team's not there. This team's just not there. But now with live betting, you have the option to hedge, or some sports books even let you to cash out, and you could cash out 50, 60% of your principal, cash that out, put it to work. It's dead money. For grading, Heartland Hustle asks, is it better to buy singles or rip wax?
I mean, that depends on what you want to do, right? I mean, really, when you get in your car and you go on a drive for your investing strategy, do you drive to 7-Eleven and get scratch-off tickets?
For a drive together.
Or do you go to the bank and buy CDs, mutual funds, you name it? It just depends what you want to do, right? What's better, single cards or packs? They're different things, right? In a pack, you have a shot to do better than the money you're putting in and a shot to do worse. That's sort of gambling. With a single card, you're setting the price for that card. That card, the market has a price for it, and you're done. So it really just depends on what you want to do, right? I mean, if you want to gamble a bit, then opening boxes are exactly that. You want to invest a certain amount in a certain card, that's singles. Honestly, I do a little bit of both. That's what makes it fun.
Rapid fire, like I said. CD Cards asks, how do you feel about the explosion of 2008 Topps Chrome Kobe card?
I like it because everybody loves Kobe, but it's exactly the same thing we were talking about with the Kobe Chrome rookie went up. So people are looking for that other thing that is the next one to go up. The pop will probably grow on it. A lot of people probably cross over some BGS ones and the pop will grow on it. And, it's a cool card. I put the LeBron throwing chalk, in the same kind of category, right? They're cool cards that are not the rookie. They have some other, hook going from them, some other cool. I will tell you guys, I'm not completely, you got to buy rookies. One of my favorite Kobe cards is the 2012 Prism. I own those cards, right? So, to me, that 2008 Chrome, it has a story to it, right? It's something different. I just wouldn't bet on that one. Having the same type of continued run up and sustainability as a rookie would.
Iconic. Avery Collector asks, are pop reports really as important as people say? Prices don't reflect it.
So, I mean, I guess it depends on what you're talking about, right? So it's a great question. I'm probably going to answer it in a different way than what the person asking the question thought. Yes, easy. The pop report does not tell you the whole story about pricing. We touched on it when we did the John Havlicek discussion, right? So what you got to know as a member of this hobby, right, and this community is there's more to price than pop, right? There's more to price than population. There's demand, and there's supply, and there's real supply, and there's how much additional supply is still out there that's not in the pop report, and there is, growth opportunity. There's a reason why Zion's and Ja's Prism base rookie cards sell for as much as they do. And Gary Vee talks about this all the time, right? Those guys could turn into the next Chris Bosh, right? They could. But would you rather buy a Chris Bosh rookie card now or a Zion or Ja? Even though there's more Zion and Ja out there. 9 out of 10 movement on the card because of performance that's out there right now on the floor. They could still turn into something better than Bosh. Yeah, they could turn into something worse. Zion could get hurt tomorrow night, never play again. So, the pop report doesn't tell the whole story. And I would tell you that it's supply, it's demand, but there's also a whole bunch of human nature that goes into this stuff, right? Human nature will tell you that I'll buy a higher pop card of somebody that a lot of people want. That's what makes the Zion card go up, right? Because people are flexing all those Zion cards that are out there and the potential for him to do better. You show me somebody today who posted a Chris Bosh card. The dude was a great player, won championships, was on one of the super teams, right? But nobody cares, even though the pop is low.
Essential Cards 101 asks, thoughts on NBA Top Shot? Is it a fad or can this become a real thing people invest in? Guys, tomorrow we're doing a really special episode with one of those just young entrepreneurs who's just taking the world by storm, Jack Settleman.
Oh, cool. We got Jack on. Nice.
Yeah, please tune into that.
Tomorrow's episode 200, guys. Tomorrow's episode 200. You know what I'd love? I'd love, as we post this, just as you ask the questions, I send us a message and tell us if you're one of those people that's listening to all 200. All right. And you know what I'm going to do? We're going to have some giveaways this week to celebrate the 200. All right. We're going to give away some basketball cards. I've been going through
the PSA backpack.
Yeah.
People are asking if that could be autographed. I don't know if that means by you, by me, or by both. That's going to be a logistics nightmare. I accept no returns. This is not eBay. Last question from Cardboard Athletes about Star Stock. So, guys, please, if you're signing up for Star Stock, use code Luka Nation. We are aware that there are better bonuses out there, but if you love us as much as you guys say you do, you'll use code Luka Nation because it just means the world to us.
And you only have to deposit $5. The other codes out there, you got to deposit more than $5. So if you just want to get in and you want to test it out, that's the lowest deposit amount that you can get an actual bonus on. So there is that for you too.
Does it make me feel good? And I think it would make you feel good, Cage. And we love you guys, so it would be really nice. On Star Stock, there's obviously a lot of C's sitting out there. Okay.
Yep.
Seems like there's an opportunity with that. What do you think?
There's going to be an opportunity in B's soon. Whoever's asking this question, and I'm going to tell you why. I scanned and I sent a whole bunch of cards in, and I got 95% Bs. So take that for whatever it's worth, guys. All right. So I guess the read on that is that they grade hard, because my cards were ones that were pack pulled by me. So good for them, because one of the biggest question marks that we had was, is the Star Stock A really worth what it's worth? People are paying PSA 9+ prices for Star Stock A. Well, I will tell you that they're PSA 11 Star Stock A, right? So Star Stock, if you see a Star Stock A, go for it. But the flip side to that is this. I guarantee you some of the Bs that I sent in are PSA 9s. Guarantee it, okay? So, yeah, there are bargains at Cs. There are bargains at Bs. And and here's a nice Star Stock play for you guys, right? There are going to be people like me who jump on Star Stock and sent in 1,000 cards. 2,000 cards. People sent in 5,000 cards. We talked to Serbia Sports, right? A lot of those are going to be Bs. Now, people are probably going to do better than me, and I'm sure my first thing was a lot better A's, and I'm sure my next thing will be a lot more A's, and it is what it is, right? But someone like me, who doesn't have hours upon hours to dedicate to Star Stock, cultivating my Star Stock collection, I get a B in there, and it might be a $5 card, but there's only one offer of 75 cents. I'm taking it. I don't care. Because like you said, cut your losses. And I'm going to view a Star Stock B as a loss. So someone's getting a $5 card for 75 cents. Done. Finished. Easy.
Thanks for tuning in again, everybody. We're back with your favorite podcast, Luka's Tigers and Bronze. Oh my.